Hi, it's Adrian, and welcome to day 16 of our 21 Days of Praise. 16, we're almost finished with our focused 21 Days of Praise, and I've been enjoying it. Wow, the Lord has been working on me. Here I am, you know, dedicating myself to focus on the Lord, and actually He's been working on me through me focusing on praising Him, if that makes sense. I mean, it is what it is, but that's what's happened. Just focusing on the promises, the Lord has been correcting some things within me. And I hear myself. I'm like, sometimes I catch myself because I'm purposely working on focusing on praising God and focusing on that promise that I've been, just focusing on these promises, and that one promise that I'll pull in for that day, I'm focusing on that. And I'll catch myself several times during the day saying, what am I saying? I'm not supposed to be complaining, or I'm not supposed to be focusing on the negative or the problem. I'm supposed to be praising God. So it really has been a blessing to me. I hope that you've been blessed as well. And so today we're going to just give you the promise for the 16th day of our 21 days of praise. And it's coming from Psalm 147 verse 3. I'm reading from the Living Bible. It says, He heals the brokenhearted, binding up their wounds. He heals the brokenhearted, binding up their wounds. That's good news for somebody. I know it's good news for me because I have had my heart broken. Anybody out there can relate. I've had a broken heart. And a lot of times when you hear, oh, someone has a broken heart, it doesn't always mean romantically that that's the reason why the heart is broken. Most of the time it is. But it's not the only reason. You could have lost a dear friend, or you could have lost a loved one, or you could have just had your hopes up and it didn't work out the way that you thought it was going to work out. And so you find yourself feeling brokenhearted, like your heart just hurts. And now, when we say brokenhearted, we're not, of course, I know many of you understand this, but I just want to just give this disclaimer that we're not talking about physically, like a medical condition now. Although I personally believe that things that happen in the unseen arena and on the spiritual happen first, and then it reflects in the natural. And a lot of times people go through a spiritual disorder, and then it will show out in the physical. Sometimes someone will have a broken heart. Emotionally they go through a trauma where their emotions are shook, and then you'll see later on some physical condition arise, and it just is not explainable. But if you really trace back first, a lot of times it will happen in the spiritual first, in that unseen place where where the soul lives, the emotions, the will, the imagination, just having bad thoughts, or what you're thinking about. All of those things are where is your soul. And so a lot of times that thing will happen in the soulish realm, the unseen place, and then it'll show out in the physical. A little while later, people start getting aches and pains, and even heart trouble, because of, quite possibly, they experience a spiritual trauma. And this is what we're talking about here. This is good news. Jesus himself, when he stepped out in ministry, one of the first things he did is he went to the synagogue and he read this portion of scripture found in Isaiah, where he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach the gospel, the good news. He's to those that are poor, and to heal the brokenhearted, to give new sight to the blind. He goes on to with that particular scripture, but he mentioned to heal the brokenhearted. So this was important to Jesus, because we do experience feeling broken in that area of the heart. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantically. It could be, like we said earlier, a loss of some sort. But the good news is we have this promise that the Lord heals the brokenhearted, and He heals them, and He binds up their wounds. He corrects it. He fixes it up so that it can not only be healed but look good. He binds up the wound, He fixes up the wound, cleans it up, corrects it, so that that person can go on and be whole. He heals the brokenhearted. That's what we want you to focus on this promise that the Lord gives you. He heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds. He corrects it. He heals the brokenhearted. So there's nothing that you can go through in that area that's unseen, where it's a deep, deep hurt that the Lord can't fix. He wants to fix it. The scripture clearly says he heals. And anything that's healed is good news. So we want you to focus on that promise today. Keep the praises high. Keep your focus on what the Lord is doing, not the problems, because we have an answer for every problem. There is a promise. And this promise today is that he heals the brokenhearted and he binds up the wounds. He can do it, y'all. He can do it, y'all. All right? Let's keep the praises high and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless.